HarperCollins presents The Skills, From First Job to Dream Job, What Every Woman Needs to Know, by Mishal Husain, read by Mishal Husain. Introduction. My journey to this book, overcoming doubt, finding my courage. Direct, persistent, purposeful, or uncertain, uneasy, doubtful. One of these sets of words reflects what is required to succeed in my line of work, especially amid pressure to generate new information and understanding quickly. The other reflects what I will most likely be experiencing in reality. After more than 20 years in broadcasting, it's a gap I know and understand, the difference between how everything appears on the outside and how I will be feeling on the inside. But it's also the gap that led me to write this book, out of a desire not only to be honest about doubt, but about channeling it and carrying on regardless. One particular moment in my own life encapsulates what can happen in the opposite scenario when doubt takes over or comes close to it. In 2013, the newly appointed editor of Today, one of the BBC's most prestigious programmes, asked if I might be interested in putting myself forward as a possible future presenter. You might think the answer was obvious. The role is, after all, one of the most coveted in my profession, and I had by then spent 17 years in broadcast news, 13 of them as a presenter. Why would I not want to throw my hat into the ring? In the event, however, all I could think about was how hard the job would be, the precision required, the pressure, the scrutiny, the pre-dawn starts. I went home and told my husband it was a nice idea, but I couldn't imagine going for it. He looked incredulous. What would I say, he asked, if one of our children responded to a prospective new challenge by saying, "Great opportunity, but it will be too hard"? I knew the answer to that one, and it pushed me to go for it. But for the first 3 years on Today, I fretted about almost every shift. I could not feel at ease in the role, worrying about what might go wrong and agonising over the things that did. And then, in a way that only became clear to me later, a moment arrived when it started to feel different. There was still an element of apprehension about each shift, but the sensation began to feel less like abject fear and more like something I could channel. To anyone else, it would have been easier to appreciate what had happened. I had grown into a new role, gained new skills, and begun to feel more at home. Yet to me that outcome was never a given. I now look back and wonder, what if I'd bailed out after a few months, or a year or two, and thought that my uncertainty was evidence the job just wasn't right for me? I would never have discovered what I now know, that time, perseverance, and an increasing familiarity made an immense difference. The experience made me reflect on how often we look at people doing striking or difficult jobs and think that they were in some way born to them, that their performance is the result of innate ability. I'm often told you must never get nervous, and each time I marvel at how far it is from the truth. We know, of course, that even the most experienced of actors can suffer from stage fright. We see how athletes psych themselves up as well as train hard physically. We are aware that even the most natural-appearing politicians will have been coached and participated in role plays before big moments, and yet we can still be convinced that individuals achieve solely because they are in some way gifted rather than because they have developed their capabilities. That, in turn, can be a barrier to seeking new horizons, precisely as I experienced. Decisive for me was not only the simple fact of practice, each shift giving me more exposure to a variety of stories, interviewees, and types of on-air conversations, but also the broader lessons that come from the nature of my work. It is on public display, which means the low points as well as the high ones are subject to immediate and sometimes fevered comment. It is often intense, both because of unusual working hours, a regular 3 a.m. alarm call, and the pressure that comes from having to absorb quantities of information in a short time frame. The more I thought about what I consider to be some of the essential tools of my trade, speech, Choice.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?